What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Akulon here, and welcome back to each and one of you. Of course, if you are new to the channel, thank you so much for joining us. I am very happy to have you here. Of course, today we are talking about the Shadowlands. We're talking a little bit more meta today than what we usually do. We're not really talking about specifics, but rather the overall Shadowlands, the purpose, if you will. I've been working on this theory for quite some time. It's been almost a month at this point that I've been going back and forth on this theory, sort of sometimes getting very close to finishing the video on the theory, and then pulling myself back and going, but wait, there's not enough information. I don't yet know how to connect some of the points. With BlizzCon now over and the cinematic that we saw, I think I can complete the theory. I think there's a lot that was mentioned and sort of came out of BlizzCon that really gave me enough information to where I now believe that this theory makes sense. We are talking about the Shadowlands, the Emerald Dream, Azeroth, the Cosmological forces, but most importantly, we are talking about what exactly happened to death. What happened to the cosmological force of death? Before we get into the video though, allow me to thank the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. By now you should have heard about Skillshare, but if you haven't, Skillshare is an online learning platform where you can join millions of other people learning about the things that make your life great. If you have a hobby, if you have a talent that you wish you could develop and evolve over time, Skillshare absolutely is the platform for you. From photography to film to drawing to storytelling. That's the course I'm taking at the moment, by the way. It is called Storytelling for Leaders, How to Craft Stories That Matter by Keith Yamashita, because this channel really is all about storytelling. For less than $10 a month on an annual subscription, you can sign up to as many classes as you want. You can learn about literally everything. The sky is the limit. And the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description down below will receive a free trial to Skillshare Premium membership. You'll be helping out the channel, but you'll be helping out yourself more. So ladies and gentlemen, head over to that link, click it, and join the revolution. The learning revolution. Anyways, let's get back into the video. Now let's be honest. What would an Akulon video be without the map? It's map time. Ladies and gentlemen, and remember, if you were hoping for the map, you need to click that like button down below. You absolutely have to do it. Just give it a little spank, little tap, it's free of charge, and that like button helps out a lot, because if you hit the like button, other people see it, they hit the like button, other people see it, we beat the YouTube algorithm and we grow to the moon, ladies and gentlemen. So hit that like button, it does help out the channel, but we have to talk about the map. Now, quite a while ago, a few weeks at this point, I made a video where I discussed very specifically the Emerald Dream, reality, and the Shadowlands and the runes that encompass it. And I made the argument back then that I wonder if this isn't what we call a closed system, a system that was sort of built within the system to keep control of reality, the dream, and the Shadowlands. At the time, I made the reference and I explained it as follows. Life happens within the Emerald Dream. From there, that life moves into reality. It comes into existence. When that life is over, when the time has run out, it moves into the Shadowlands, where it then spends its eternity, from what we now know, protecting the system. That is basically what the members of the Necrolords do. They not only protect the Shadowlands, but they also seem very much involved with protecting the system. The Kyrians protect the system in moving to reality to remove souls that die and ensure that those souls move into the soul stream. And then of course we know that the Emerald Dream has a whole bunch of protectors for itself, and it does appear as if Ardenweald is very intimately connected to the Emerald Dream and the protection of the guardians of the Emerald Dream. Now, at that time, I said that this entire system feels a little bit unnatural. It feels as if it doesn't quite belong within the universe, as if You're looking at all of these cosmological forces, holy, life, order, void, death, and disorder, and they're supposed to be the guardians of the system. But looking at the system, it feels as if the system excludes a great many of them. Now, the big question that I'm actually seeking to answer within this video isn't who made the system or how the system came to be. The big question I'm actually asking is what happened to Zuval? What happened within the Shadowlands? Why was Zuval chained and jailed, so to speak? What was his crimes, or what were his crimes? Now, I believe if we wish to answer the latter, we first need to answer the first. We have to understand what transpired within our universe. What made Azeroth the prison that Sylvanas is referring to? What did the Titans do? What was the Titans' purpose, so to speak? So I believe that if you want to understand death, you must understand the purpose. Now, of course, what would an Acheron video be without a cinematic? That is right. In the cinematic, that's where my biggest clue came from. And it's right at the end. Listen to what the jailer says in this moment.
Then they will see. Death was never meant to be chained.
That, to me, is massive. Death was never meant to be chained. Now remember, we have Sire Denathrius himself stating that at the end of all of this, when it's all over, death will be victorious. And of course, those who helped it. So Sire Denathrius references death. Zuval states that death was never meant to be chained. I do not believe that he is actively talking about his own banishment. I do not believe that he is actually actively referring to himself as the one being changed. Now, we've learned about Korthia, right? Korthia, the new zone that now seems to be chained to the Maw. Korthia is meant to be the City of Secrets, an ancient realm that has long since been almost lost to the Shadowlands, that holds multiple secrets. The fact that Zuval, the jailer, his first act after being sort of free is to chain this realm and bring it closer, tells us that there is a lot of information on that realm about what exactly happened. Now, of course, we also have the Primus's words. The Primus states that he must not reach the Sepulcher. A sepulcher is a place, a burial chamber, so to speak, a place where the dead is housed. Now, the problem with that is the Shadowlands is effectively a big sepulcher. It's where the dead go anyway, so how can there be a sepulcher within the realms of death? Now, remember I told you that that's what this video is about. It's about what did Zuval do? What did the jailer do? In order to understand what the jailer did, I believe we first have to understand what the Titans did, what Order did. We need to understand the purpose. Now, I do not believe that I speak only for myself when I say that the Shadowlands does not exactly strike me as a realm of death. When I think about the realm of death, when I think about what you would find within the realm of death, the Shadowlands is too pristine, too well-maintained to really be the realm of decay, the realm of death. Now, really, a lot of this information, a lot of this theory comes from an interview that Steve Denuser did, and this is a while ago at this point. I believe we're talking even before the launch of the Shadowlands, as we're building up to the launch of the Shadowlands. Steve Denuser in an interview stated how the different cosmological forces sometimes form alliances to beat down a cosmological force if one of the forces becomes too strong. Now, it was sort of weird in that interview that he mentioned that, since it wasn't the question. The question had more to do with how does the different cosmological forces interact and what is their purpose within the universe. What is it that the cosmological forces do? The fact that he threw in that they will sometimes sort of bargain with one another and ally with one another I found rather interesting. So here's my theory on it. And you can have your own theories, and you can let me know in the comment section down below exactly what your theory is. Remember, a theory is unproven, but I believe it does make sense in this regard. The jailer says that death was never meant to be chained. I made a video long ago at this point stating that death may be the most powerful of all of the cosmological forces, and now that we're in the Shadowlands, we see the tremendous power that anima holds. I just want to remove this because I don't really need it. I'm not listening to anything. We see the tremendous power that anima holds, and you could almost imagine that a realm that had all of this anima pouring into it, whoever looked over this realm, whoever ruled this realm, would become ridiculously powerful. Sylvana states that this world is a prison. The jailer states that death was never meant to be chained. Now let's examine this from a logical perspective. Let's make some logical examinations. If we're looking for allies within this map, we will not find the light allying with disorder. I genuinely do not believe that would ever happen. I doubt also very much that the light would ally itself with death. In this, I could see the void allying itself with death, since a lot of the old gods referred to themselves as the gods of death, and this might hint at a previous alliance between the void and death. So at one point or another, the void and the realms of death were allied against the others. I doubt very much that order would ally itself with death disorder. I doubt that life would ally itself with death or with disorder, or with the void for that matter. So in my opinion, in my estimation, the perfect alliances, the alliances that would make sense would be holy, life and order, void, death and disorder. So basically the two halves of the cosmological map. These are the only ones that I can see sort of sometimes being willing to make alliances with one another. Now, when you look at this enclosed system, so if you pay attention to reality, to the Emerald Dream, and to the Shadowlands, what do you feel? Where would that alliance most naturally make sense? To my mind, life and order. Life and order intervened in the system, removing death from the equation. Because that is effectively what is happening within the Shadowlands. Every realm gets a certain amount of anima. It is controlled, so none of the realms ever get really that much more powerful than the others. And the anima really is used for the protection of the Shadowlands rather than the extortion of other realms. So it is very much balanced at this point, and that is where the Arbiter comes in. She ensures that no realm ever gets really too powerful for any of the other realms, and therefore everyone remains very much in equilibrium with one another. But then I remembered in Shadows Rising, one somebody talking to Nathanos, and Nathanos is sort of boasting about how the Dark Lady stops at nothing, and how the Dark Lady will stop him, and this is his job, it's his duty to take him down. And when somebody says to him, what the Lords of Death have given can easily be taken away. That line, even when I read it for the very first time and before we knew anything about the Shadowlands, I asked myself, the Lords of Death, what exactly does that refer to? Who exactly is the Lords of Death? Now, once we venture into the Shadowlands, we do sort of learn who these Lords of Death may or may not be. It's the Archon, it's Sidon-Athreus, it's the Primus, and then of course the Winter Queen and Zuval. My question is, what if he wasn't talking about them? What if these Eternal Ones isn't the Lords of Death that Bwonsumdi was referring to? Now, Bwonsumdi didn't have full access to the Shadowlands, even though he could move in and out of the Shadowlands, and he definitely had the ability to withhold souls from the Shadowlands. But surely he would have had enough insights into the Shadowlands to know that the Archon and the Winter Queen would not make deals with someone like Sylvanas. They do not interfere. Remember, we see now that almost all of the Loa, they're reborn within the Winter Queen's realm. We know that Bwonsamdi knows the Winter Queen very, very well. So when Bwonsamdi stated that the Lords of Death can easily take their gifts away, I believe that that is what Zuval is talking about. You see, I believe that at one point death became too strong for the other cosmological forces to keep at bay. Death was threatening to take over the universe. The light, life, and order then struck a bargain. Whether the light was involved or not at this point really is massive speculation, and I have no evidence of it, but the fact that the light seems to have some kind of play within the Shadowlands tells me that at least to some extent they may have been involved in an earlier alliance, and then they do say that their attack was because of a slight against the light. It may be that at one point life, order, and light were working together to overthrow death, and then once they had the upper hand, maybe they stabbed light in the back, maybe they removed the light, because remember, the light is sort of actually the antithesis of every other cosmological force, because it believes its own things and really only wants one thing to happen at any point in time. I believe the Sepulcher that the Primus spoke about, is the final burial place of the Lords of Death. Remember, the Primus states that he must not reach the Sepulcher. What if the Sepulcher is where the Lords of Death was buried? The previous owners of the cosmological force of death. When Zuval states that they will learn that death was not meant to be chained, is that what he's referring to? I mean, it could be grandiose, right? It could be they will learn that death, was never meant to be chained. But there's a lot of things that sort of interferes with that argument. While yes, he is ridiculously powerful, he was once one of them. He states it himself. I have a weird theory that maybe the jailer and Zuval isn't the same person, and the brother that he's referring to in the cinematic isn't exactly him. But that's a weird theory that I have no evidence for, and I don't even believe, to be quite honest with you. Right now, assuming that the jailer and Zuval is the same people, the argument, as far as I'm concerned, where he says to the Archon, as you once sought to bind your own brother, right? That sort of shows you that he was once part of them. So why would he go so far out of left field, or out into left field? Why would he lose his mind so? Now, it could be because of the promise of power, right? Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, as the saying goes. It could just be that he recognized and realized the immense amount of power that exists within the Shadowlands and exists within Anima, and he refused to give that up. He didn't want to divvy it up and share it with his brothers and sisters. But what if it goes so much deeper than that? What if the purpose is the very thing that enslaved the Shadowlands? What if order is the very thing that invaded it and pushed out the Lords of Death, burying them, chaining them to the Sepulcher, keeping them there until such time that they are freed, so that they can once again ride forth? I mean, what is Zuval looking for? Why Korthia? Why is Korthia the next zone that he pulls close? We know that he wants the keys, and surely all of the Primus, or all of the Eternal Ones, have their own keys, so therefore he should really be sending people after these Eternal Ones. He shouldn't be venturing to different realms. What if the time has now come for him to search for the Sepulcher? What if the keys have nothing to do with unbinding him? We already see that he looks to be unbound. He looks to be free to move around. The Maw is still inescapable, true. But if you listen to what Kalthazard wanted to do in the Necrolord campaign, you realize that Kalthazard, had he succeeded, would have opened the way for Zuval. He would have made it possible for the Maw to once again be traversable and once again be leavable. If that is even a word. I don't know if that's a word, but maybe it is a word. But he would have made the maw once again accessible. The Primus warns us, tells us, hey, look out, he's not supposed to go to the Sepulcher. Now he's looking for keys. What if the keys that he is looking for does not open his own cage, but rather opens the Sepulcher, the cage of death? As Denathrius himself stated, in the end, death will inherit this world and those who helped it succeed. I mean, it's just a theory at this point. I have no evidence of any of this, but I do think a lot of it points to that. A lot of it points to the ultimate truth. Do I know what the ultimate truth is? No. How would I? I'm not that smart. That's why I need Skillshare. So that I can tell stories and actually convince you guys of the bullshit that I speak. So remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and smash that bell if you want more content like this. And then, of course, if you want to help me out, if you want to help out yourself, hit that Skillshare link. First 1,000 people to hit the link will get a free premium month. And, of course, subscription is under $10 a month if you sign up annually. Ladies and gentlemen, to all of the patrons, the Twitch subs, and the YouTube channel members, thank you so much for your monthly contributions. It does mean the world to me. Thanks to you guys, this channel is still growing, and it's growing stronger every single day. I quite literally wouldn't be without you, so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Guys, as always, my name is Akalon, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out, fam.